You felt that knot in your stomach, haven't you? Or maybe you're just dreading it. That moment, your brilliant business idea just slams into a brick wall.
Yeah.
That feeling when you realize, oh no, nobody actually wants this thing I built. Or the bank account's draining way faster than you thought.
Or the team. The team's just not clicking, it's falling apart.
Exactly. It's the messy reality behind the startup dream. And the data backs it up. It's like incredibly common. Looking at hundreds of these startup postmortems, you see things like, well, a huge number, 42% failed because they built something nobody needed.
42%, that's staggering.
Right. That fear, that massive challenge. That's what we're digging into today. Welcome to the Deep Dive Library, your go-to podcast for real talks on entrepreneurship, finance, and personal growth. No fluff, just bold insights to help you grow, build, and lead. Let's dive into what are the biggest mistakes first-time entrepreneurs make?
How can I avoid failing in my first business?
What do most entrepreneurs regret not doing sooner?
Why do most startups fail in the first year?
What lessons do successful entrepreneurs learn the hard way?
Yeah, those questions really get to the core of it, don't they? Why starting something is, well, so tough, but also so incredibly rewarding when you get it right. And for this deep dive, we've gathered quite a bit of material. We're looking at startup failure data, insights from founders who've been through it, and wisdom from some really great books. Think The Lean Startup, The E-Myth Revisited, Start With Why, 0 to 1, The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Some heavy hitters there.
Definitely. And the goal isn't just to, list off problems. It's about unpacking this stuff, finding the real practical takeaways that can genuinely help you avoid these pitfalls and hopefully build something that lasts.
It's so true. Starting out is exciting. It feels like anything's possible, but yeah, the road is. It's often rocky. Failure is common. The CV Insights data, looking at over 100 startup postmortems, it paints a pretty stark picture.
It does, but it's also incredibly useful. It's like a map of the minefield. It shows you exactly where things tend to blow up most often.
Okay, so let's look at that map. What are the biggest mines?
Well, right at the top, the number one reason by a long shot is that no market need. A massive 42%, you built it in crickets. Nobody actually wanted it.
Exactly. Then number 2, ran out of cash. That's 29%. Money trouble, always critical.
Makes sense. Then not the right team. That's a big one too, 23%.
Yep. Followed by get out competed at 19%.
Pricing or cost issues, 18%. You got the numbers wrong.
Right. And then you have poor product and also need or lack a business model, both sitting there at 17%.
Okay. And poor marketing. Ignoring customers tied at 14. Can't forget those.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Then product mistimed, maybe too early or too late, and lose focus, both at 13%. Disharmony on the team or with investors, also 13%. People problems again. People
problems are huge. Then we see pivot gone bad at 10%. And kind of the flip side, failure to pivot is 7%. So changing course is tricky. Lack passion, bad location, both 9%. And rounding it out, you've got no financing or investor interest, legal challenges, don't use network or advisors, and simple burnout, all significant factors at 8% each.
Wow. That's quite a list. But like you said, it's a roadmap. It tells us where to focus. It's not just random bad luck.
Exactly. These numbers directly answer those questions about why startups fail early and what lessons get learned the hard way.
So let's dive in. How do we actually avoid these? Let's start with that monster at the top. No market need, 42%. And that's tied so closely to ignoring customers, right?
Absolutely. That humble 2%, it's just brutal. It means so much wasted effort, wasted money, wasted hope. It often happens because the founder just falls head over heels for their own solution.
Yeah, their baby.
Their baby, exactly, without really truly understanding the problem they think they're solving or if people even see it as a problem. Someone on Reddit put it perfectly, this idea of if you build it, they will come. It's usually false.
Right. Your amazing idea means nothing without actual customers who need it and are willing to pay.
And it's so easy to get sucked into just tweaking the product, adding more features, making it perfect in your own eyes.
Endless polishing.
While completely missing the mark on what the customer actually needs or wants. It can even create this weird adversarial view of customers, like Dan Sullivan talks about in Strategic Coach, fearing they're judging you or just trying to haggle.
Which is the opposite of what you said.
Totally. The big shift, and you see this echoed everywhere, is starting with the customer. Like that Reddit thread said, figure out the problem first, and who has that problem. AI Content Fire really hammers on doing thorough market research. Get inside your audience's head. What are their real frustrations? What keeps them up at night?
And that's where the minimum viable product, the MVP, comes in, right? From the lean startup.
Exactly. Eric Ries wasn't just saying, build something basic. He was saying, build the fastest thing you can to start learning from real customers. Test your biggest assumption. Get it out there.
Get that feedback loop going.
That's the key. Validated learning, not a perfect product on day one. You build, you measure, you learn, you iterate. AI Contentfy stresses being ready to change, adapt, keep tweaking until you hit that sweet spot product market fit, where your thing truly clicks with a real market need.
And instead of seeing customers as the enemy, Strategic Coach says, make your best customers your partners. Collaborate with them.
Yeah, build with them. And the E-Myth Revisited goes even deeper, think scientifically, not just demographics, the who, but psychographics, the why. Why do they buy? What are their hidden needs? Michael Gerber talks about building a prototype of the whole customer experience designed to satisfy those needs.
The Village Laundry Service story in the Lean Startup is such a great example of this, isn't it?
Oh, totally. They didn't start fancy. They started with a washing machine on a truck.
Which failed.
Right. People didn't trust it. So they pivoted. They tried a kiosk felt more permanent. They tested locations. They listened. People wanted ironing too, not just washing. They found out people would pay double for faster service. It was all about experimenting, listening, adapting. They found a model that worked by solving the customer's problem the way the customer valued it.
Not just assuming they knew best. It's a constant process.
It really is. Listen, test, adapt, repeat.
Okay, so that focus on the customer is huge for avoiding mistake number one.
Oh, yeah.
What about number two? Ran out of cash? 29%. That just screams bad planning.
It really does. You look at sources like Forbes, DASA Accountancy, they all point to the same thing. Poor financial planning leads straight to cash flow nightmares, spending money on the wrong things, and yeah, ultimately failing. It seems basic, but...
But founders get caught up in the vision, the product.
Exactly. They neglect the spreadsheet until the bank account is empty.
So how do you avoid it? What's the practical advice?
Well, first off, you have to build a solid financial plan right from the start. Forbes really emphasizes this. Map out your startup costs, your ongoing operating expenses, and be realistic about revenue projections.
Don't just pull numbers out of thin air.
No. Estimate everything. Equipment, inventory, marketing, legal fees, salaries, all of it. And Forbes also suggests actively comparing prices for suppliers, services.
Right.
Shop around. Don't just take the first offer.
Every dollar counts, especially early on.
Hugely. And DASA Accountancy adds a really simple but vital tip.
Yeah.
Schedule regular check-ins on that plan. It's not a static document you create once and forget.
Right, things change.
Constantly. Your costs change, revenue might be different than projected.
Yeah.
You need to keep adjusting.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other financial angles?
There's an interesting thought from Peter Thiel in 0 to 1. He mentions how keeping CEO pay low in the beginning isn't just about saving cash.
Oh, yeah.
It sets a frugal tone for the whole company. And maybe more importantly, it aligns the CEO's incentives with increasing the company's total value, not just their own immediate paycheck.
Huh. That's a clever psychological play, too. Okay, so manage the money meticulously. Let's shift to the third big one. Not the right team at 23%. And that's tied up with disharmony, 13%. And maybe even lack passion, 9%. Plus things like hiring too fast or picking the wrong co-founder, like people mentioned on Reddit.
Yeah, the people side is critical. All the sources agree. You can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but with the wrong team, it's probably going nowhere. Misalignment, infighting, lack of belief, it just poisons the well.
So how do you get the right team? Ben Horowitz in The Hard Thing About Hard Things talks about hiring managers, right? Looking for a specific kind of ambition.
Yeah, he calls it the right kind of ambition. It's about finding people who are ambitious for the company's success, optimizing the whole system, not just their own career path or department. That's a subtle but really important distinction.
Global versus local optimization. Got it.
And the E-Myth Revisited gives us that helpful model of the three personalities. The entrepreneur, the visionary focused on the future, the manager who brings order and pragmatism, and the technician, the doer who makes the thing or delivers the service right now.
You need all three for balance.
Exactly. Problems often happen when one dominates or one is completely missing, like all vision and no execution, or all execution and no strategic direction.
Makes sense. And what about that deeper level, the team spirit, the passion?
That's where Simon Sinek's ideas in Start With Why come in. He argues that true trust and authenticity, the stuff that really binds a team, doesn't come from forced fun or perks. It comes from a shared understanding and belief in the company's why.
The purpose, the reason you exist beyond just making money.
Right. That's what fuels real passion, when people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, something they actually believe in. Without that shared belief, Sinek says, you get office politics, people looking out for number one.
He uses the Southwest Airlines example, right?
Right.
Herb Keller putting employees first.
Yeah, that's a classic. Keller believed happy employees would lead to happy customers, which would make shareholders happy. That belief system created incredible loyalty and a powerful team culture.
So leadership is key here. Sinek says it's about having that vision, but also being able to communicate it.
Absolutely. It's having a vision of a world that doesn't exist yet and being able to articulate it so clearly and passionately that others who share that belief want to join you to help build it. Think Dr. King people followed the dream, the belief, not just a detailed plan. It's about inspiring collective action for a shared cause.
What about the practical side of managing the team day to day?
Horowitz, again in Hard Thing About Hard Things, emphasizes things like training. He calls it one of the highest leverage things a manager can do. It improves skills, sure, but it also sets the stage for fair performance management. And measure what matters productive employees, not just how many interviews you did.
Set clear expectations. That seems crucial.
Definitely. And Horowitz also makes that distinction between being a wartime CEO leading through crisis, making tough calls, versus a peacetime CEO when things are stable, different skills needed. He talks about his own experiences saving opsware. And a really tough lesson he shares is dealing with underperforming execs quickly. Letting it fester just drags everyone down.
It sounds like building the right team is about structure, culture, and that core belief system.
It really is. It's a complex system in itself.
Okay, moving on. There's a whole cluster of related reasons around strategy and adapting. Things like lose focus, get outcompeted, pricing issues, and the pivot problems, failure to pivot or a pivot gone bad. Plus, what Reddit users mentioned, not being patient enough, just giving up too soon.
Yeah, this bucket covers a lot. It often comes down to either not having a clear strategy in the first place, or maybe worse, being too stubborn to change course when the evidence says you should.
Getting married to a bad idea.
Exactly. Pouring good money after bad. And sometimes, like those Reddit comments suggested, founders get sidetracked by, well, shiny objects. Perfecting the logo or the website design instead of nailing the basic business math. Can I spend $1 to get a customer and make back $2 or more?
So first step is clarity. A solid business model, focus on the economics.
Absolutely. Understand how your business actually makes money. But then you can't just set it and forget it. The market shifts. AI Content-Fi really stresses staying aware of trends, new tech, what competitors are doing. You have to be willing to experiment and adjust.
Which brings us back to the pivot. Eric Ries in Lean Startup frames it not as failure, but as planned learning.
Right, precisely. A pivot isn't just random change. It's a structured course correction based on validated learning. You test a new fundamental hypothesis about your product, your market, your growth engine. It's about resilience. Okay, that didn't work. Here's what we learned. Now we're going to try this.
Like the IMVU example he used. They had tech, but the wrong audience.
Yeah. They realized teenagers were using their avatar tech for IM, not what they originally intended. So boom, customer segment pivot. Focus entirely on that group. It saved the company. They didn't trash the tech. They changed who they served based on real data.
Peter Thiel, in 0 to 1, offers a slightly different strategic angle, doesn't he? About starting small.
He does. He argues for dominating a specific narrow niche market first. Don't try to boil the ocean on day one. Get a foothold, become the best solution for that small group, then expand outwards into adjacent markets.
Like Tesla starting with a high-end Roadster before the Model S and broader models.
Exactly. That sequencing, Thiel says, is really underrated but strategically powerful.
And what about just sticking with it, the patience part?
Crucial. So many Reddit comments hammered this. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Giving up too early guarantees failure. Someone said, money comes as fast as your ability to solve problems. The better you get at solving real customer problems, the more the business grows. It takes time.
Keel also quotes that chess master, Capablanca, right? Study the end game before everything else.
Yeah, have that long-term vision even while you're fighting the daily battles. Know where you're ultimately trying to go.
And the E-Myth offers that practical cycle for improvement. Innovation, quantification, orchestration.
Right. Always look for better ways. Innovation. Measure if they actually are better, quantification, and then systematize what works, orchestration. Like, does changing the greeting script actually boost sales? If yes, make it the standard.
One more strategic piece from Thiel distribution that often gets overlooked.
Hugely. He calls it a hidden bottleneck. You could have a technically superior product, but if you haven't figured out how to effectively sell it and get it to customers, you're likely going to fail.
So product isn't everything.
Not by itself. He talks about different channels, marketing for mass products, direct sales for complex, high-price ones. His example of Better Place, the EV charging company, is a warning. Huge investment, cool tech, but they forgot distribution and customer adoption. Tesla, on the other hand, had Musk as both engineer and salesman, plus a team good at both. They nailed product and distribution.
That's a critical piece. Build it and figure out how to sell it. Okay, one last specific reason from the list.
Yeah.
Smaller maybe, but still important at 8%. Legal challenges.
Yeah, this one can sneak up on you. Founders, especially first-timers, might think, oh, I'll deal with lawyers later, or try to use online templates for everything. But Remotion Agency points out, legal missteps can absolutely sink a business, especially early on.
So it's not just about fixing problems, it's about prevention.
Exactly. Think of legal advice as part of your core business setup, not an afterthought. You need help protecting your intellectual property patents, trademarks. You need to understand employment law when you hire people, contracts, termination rules.
Compliance too, right? Regulations?
Definitely. Data privacy, consumer protection, industry-specific rules. Ignoring these can lead to huge fines or even shutdowns. Getting good legal counsel early is just smart risk management.
Okay, so we've walked through the big failure points. No market need, running out of cash, wrong team, flawed strategy, legal missteps. Understanding those is step one.
For sure. But when you step back and look at all these sources together, you start seeing some deeper themes emerge, principles that kind of tie it all together and help you avoid multiple mistakes at once.
Like what? What are the big underlying ideas?
Well, two really stand out for me. First, the power of knowing and, crucially, communicating your why. That core idea from Simon Sinek.
Your purpose, your reason for being.
Yeah. It's more than just a mission statement on the wall. It's the fundamental belief that drives everything. It's how you differentiate yourself when features and price look similar. It's what attracts loyal customers and, just as importantly, inspires and aligns your team.
Gives them something to rally around, especially when things get tough.
Exactly. Without that clear why, you risk just becoming another commodity, fighting only on price or features. Sinek uses Apple's enduring why as an example, compared to competitors who maybe lost sight of theirs. Thiel also touches on this with Sam Walton. His personal drive built Walmart, but because the institutional why wasn't maybe as clearly embedded, the company shifted after he was gone.
Interesting. Okay, so a clear why is one big theme. What's the second?
The second is this idea, really hammered home in the E-Myth Revisited, of working on your business, not just in it.
The difference between being the technician doing the work and the entrepreneur or manager building the system.
Precisely. The technician just wants to bake the pies or write the code. But to build something scalable and sustainable, you need to design the business itself, create systems, processes, a predictable way of delivering value that doesn't rely entirely on you doing everything.
Like building that franchise prototype Gerber talks about, making it repeatable.
Yeah. Using that innovation, quantification, orchestration loop, constantly refining the system. Think about McDonald's. They didn't win on the world's best burger necessarily. They won on an incredibly efficient, consistent system for delivering a predictable experience everywhere. They teach the system at Hamburger University.
And that applies to soft systems too, like communication.
Totally. Your sales scripts, your marketing materials, how you answer the phone, it should all tell a consistent story, reflecting the core idea, the why of the business.
And Horowitz talks about culture as a system too, right?
He does. Culture is the system for how things get done when nobody's explicitly telling people what to do. It's the shared assumptions, the values in action. And you can consciously design it sometimes with memorable things like Amazon's door desks reinforcing frugality. Even building networks with partners, customers, investors is a form of building essential business systems.
So it really sounds like avoiding failure isn't just about dodging individual bullets. It's about building a solid foundation rooted in purpose, that why, and supported by smart, adaptable systems.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's about having that strong core and clear direction, but also recognizing it's a journey of learning, adapting, and having the right people alongside you to navigate the bumps.
Okay, so to wrap up, You've heard the hard numbers on why businesses often stumble ignoring the market, cash flow issues, team problems, strategy gaps, legal hurdles. But we've also dug into how to fight back, drawing from some really sharp thinking on startups and business building. Focus on your customer, manage your money like a hawk, build a team united by purpose, stay flexible with your strategy, get your legal ducks in a row early.
And underpinning it all, really understanding why you're doing what you're doing, that core purpose, and then deliberately building the business as a system designed to deliver on that purpose day in and day out.
And hey, if you found value here but haven't subscribed yet, why wait? Every subscriber fuels this channel to keep delivering the real game-changing content you need. Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. And don't miss out on the next episode that could change everything for you.
So after hearing all this, about the common pitfalls, the importance of purpose, the need for systems, what's the single biggest thing you need to focus on right now in your own venture or idea to make sure you beat those odds?